As women juggle the nuances of day-to-day finances, long-term financial security and retirement planning can be forgotten. A brand new survey looked at the financial attitudes, perceptions, and goals of women, revealing what we're most and least confident about where financial security is concerned. Here to share survey results and recommendations, the money coach, Lynnette Khalfani-Cox. Good morning, Lynnette.
Hi there. Good morning to you. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to see you. What were some of the key findings here?
Well, this was a study that was done by Prudential that found that a lot of important things, actually, one of which is that, as you mentioned, when it comes to day-to-day, women are a little more confident about that. About 33% of women gave themselves an A, for example, when it comes to managing debt. So that's things like the credit card payments that's got to be paid every month, the mortgage, that kind of thing. But when it came to longer-term issues like investing, only 7% of women gave themselves an A. So we know there's a lot of work to be done there. A lot of women also talked about the issues that were important to them. And the top 3 areas that emerged in terms of long-term goals were things like retirement, health care, and debt. If you think about health care and debt, we know obviously the costs of health care have been rising dramatically. So people are thinking about paying for their own medical costs, maybe their aging parents, and even maybe for their kids down the road, because college also emerged in the study as a point of interest and concern for a lot of women.
How do age and culture affect views on finances?
Well, interestingly, a lot of women, as they get older, seem to have a little bit more product knowledge about some things, but we see a lot of gaps in women's knowledge overall. For example, a lot of women said that they don't really get things like annuities. So the survey looked at baby boomers, millennials, Gen Xers. As women age, they became a little more accustomed to dealing with certain products or knowledgeable about them. But overall, still product knowledge very kind of low, certainly lower than it should be for a lot of women. From a cultural standpoint, differences emerged that were, I think, relevant there. Among Asian American women, for example, about 73% of them said that they were on track or maybe just a little behind, but catching up when it came to being prepared for retirement, saving and planning for retirement. That was a big jump, though, much larger than what we saw in other groups for African Americans, for white women, for Latino women, etc. The maximum in those groups, about 60% of them said that they were ahead of schedule, kind of on track. So we know there's some cultural differences, but really I think the overall message is that women as a whole, we've been taking the financial reins a lot more. 44% of us are now the primary breadwinners in our families. So it's really up to us to educate ourselves, to start early, and to make sure we're on track, saving and investing for those long-term goals, just like we're kind of managing the short-term, the day-to-day stuff right now.
And we know planners can help us get on track and stay on track. At what point should you start working with a financial planner?
Right. I think really as long as you have a job, have some income and are really starting to think about your longer term goals, that's a great time at whatever point. For some people it'll be in their 20s, right when they're out of college and they've got that first job. And if they want to be strategic kind of long-term thinkers, why not start earlier? It really helps you. Unfortunately, only about 1/3 of all women have a financial advisor. I think that's a big mistake, and it's down significantly and kind of surprisingly as well from several years ago in 2008, kind of the height of the recession. Almost half of women had some kind of financial advisor. It's a little shocking because we've come through the Great Recession. You would think people say, oh, I want to get a little more help, but that hasn't been the case. But certainly an advisor can help you to stay accountable, create a plan, and then to stay on track to meet your financial goals.
And a website before we let you go, Lynnette.
You can go to prudential.com/women for more information.
Well, we have to run now. Wish we could visit more maybe next time.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us today.
Okay. No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Mike?